Day one walked through the biodome like he did every morning. The glass ceiling showed the dark space above, filled with distant stars. He liked this quiet time before the other workers woke up. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor as he checked the plants growing in different sections. The biodome was huge. It had areas that copied different planets. One corner was cold and icy. Another had thick jungle plants. Day one's favorite was a hot section that looked like a volcano world. Red lights made it glow, and heat came from special rocks on the ground. He was looking at some purple flowers when he heard a sound. It was small, like a tiny squeak. Day one stopped walking and listened. There it was again. He walked toward the volcano section, pushing aside some large leaves. Between two hot rocks, something moved. Day one got down on his knees to look closer. His heart beat faster when he saw it. A small creature, no bigger than his hand, was trying to climb over a rock. It had scales that shined like metal. Tiny wings stuck out from its back, but they looked too small to wake. When it turned its head, Day one saw its eyes. They glowed with a soft orange light. No way, Day one whispered. He knew what this was. He had studied these creatures in school. Everyone thought they were all dead. This was a Pyraxian drake, a baby dragon. The hatchling looked at him. It made a soft chirping sound. Day one didn't move. He knew he should walk away. These creatures were dangerous. The Galactic Council had banned them. Humans were not allowed to touch them or keep them. But the little dragon looked so small and alone. The hatchling took a step toward him. Then another. It kept chirping, like it was trying to talk. Day one slowly stood up and backed away. He needed to report this. He needed to call his boss, Hannah. She would know what to do. But when Day one turned to leave, the hatchling made a louder sound. It was scared. Day one looked back. The little dragon was trying to follow him, but its legs were too short. It kept falling over the rocks. Stay there, Day one said softly. I'll come back. He walked away quickly. Behind him, he heard the hatchling crying. The sound made his chest feel tight. Day one tried to ignore it. He had a job to do. He walked to the next section of the dome and started checking the plants there. But the crying didn't stop. It got louder. Day one turned around and saw the little dragon. It had followed him. It must have climbed out of the volcano section. Now it sat on the floor, looking up at him with those glowing eyes. How did you get here so fast? Day one asked. The hatchling chirped and took another step toward him. Day one picked it up carefully. The dragon was warm, like holding a cup of hot tea. It immediately stopped crying and curled up in his hands. Day one sighed. He carried the hatchling back to the volcano section and put it down gently on a warm rock. You need to stay here, he said. I have to finish my work. The hatchling watched him leave. Day one walked to the other side of the dome. He tried to focus on his checklist. He needed to measure the growth of some blue mushrooms. He needed to water the ice plants. He needed to check the temperature in each section. But he couldn't concentrate. He kept thinking about the little dragon. Where did it come from? How did it get on this colony? And why was it alone? 10 minutes later, Day one heard a familiar sound. Chirping. He looked down. The hatchling was at his feet again. It looked tired from walking so far, but it seemed happy to find him. You can't keep following me, Day one said. But the dragon just chirped and tried to climb up his boot. Day one picked it up again. This time, he didn't take it back. He held it in one hand while he worked with the other. The hatchling seemed happy with this. It stayed quiet in his palm, watching everything he did. Sometimes it would make a soft humming sound. Day one noticed that the sound matched his own humming. He often hummed while he worked, and now the dragon was copying him. You're a smart little thing, aren't you? Day one said. The hatchling tilted its head, just like Day one had tilted his. That made him smile. By the time Day one finished his morning work, 2 hours had passed. The dragon had stayed with him the whole time. When Day one walked, it watched where he was going. When Day one stopped to write notes, it watched his hand move. When Day one talked to himself, the dragon listened. Day one knew he couldn't avoid this anymore. He needed to tell someone. He walked to the main research building, still carrying the hatchling. Other workers were awake now. They walked past him in the hallways, going to their jobs. Nobody noticed the small creature in his hands yet. He went to his own lab and closed the door. The room was small but clean. It had tables covered with computers and science tools. Day One put the hatchling down on his desk. It immediately explored, sniffing at his coffee cup and pawing at his keyboard. "Wait here," Day One said. He went to a cabinet and pulled out a scanning device. He needed to check if the dragon was healthy. He needed to find out how old it was. He needed information. The hatchling let him scan it without fighting. It just sat still and chirped softly. The computer screen showed the results. The dragon was only 3 days old. It was healthy but hungry, and according to the scan, it had already started bonding with someone. With him. Day One's friend Taiyun knocked on the door and walked in. He was a tall man with messy hair and oil stains on his work clothes. "Hey, did you see the new shipment of—" "Wait, what is that?" Taiyun stared at the hatchling. The dragon stared back at him and made a small growling sound. It moved closer to Day One. "Is that what I think it is?" Taiyun asked quietly. "Yes," Day One said. "It's a Pyraxian drake. But those are illegal. If Hannah finds out, or worse, if the council finds out." "I know," Day One said. "But look at it. It's just a baby. It followed me all morning. I tried to leave it alone, but it won't stay away." Taiyun came closer to look. The hatchling watched him carefully but didn't run away. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," Day One admitted. "I need to think." But even as he said it, Day One knew the truth. It was already too late to just report this and walk away. The little dragon had chosen him, and deep down, he had already chosen it too. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. Taiyun sat down in the chair across from Day One's desk. He kept staring at the little dragon. The hatchling was now climbing over Day One's notebook, leaving tiny scratches on the pages. "You need to be careful," Taiyun said. "If anyone reports this, the council will come. They don't just take these creatures away. They kill them." Day One felt his stomach turn. He had read about this in the old reports. The Galactic Council said it was for safety. They called it humane disposal. But everyone knew what it really meant. "I'm going to study it first," Day One said. "I need to understand why it followed me. Maybe there's something different about this one." "Different how?" Taiyun asked. "I don't know yet. That's why I need to study it." Day One picked up the hatchling gently. It curled into his hand and closed its eyes. "Look at it. Does this look like a dangerous creature to you?" Taiyun shook his head. "No, but the adults are different. They grow big. They breathe fire. They destroyed 3 human colonies 50 years ago. Because we attacked them first," Day One said quietly. "I read the real reports. The ones that aren't public. Humans went to their planet and started mining. We destroyed their nests. They were just protecting their homes." Taiyun was quiet for a moment. Then he stood up. "Okay, I'll help you. But we need to be smart about this. The colony does automatic scans every day. When the system detects this dragon, it will send a report to the council." "How much time do we have?" Day One asked. "Maybe 2 days. 3 if we're lucky." Taiyun looked at the hatchling again. "What are you going to name it?" Day One hadn't thought about that. But now, holding the warm little creature, a name came to him. Barum. It means wind. "Why wind?" "Because wind goes everywhere. It's free. And this little one wouldn't stop following me, like the wind." Taiyun smiled a little. "Barum. I like it. Okay, I'll go check the scanning system. Maybe I can delay the report for a few days. You do your research." After Taiyun left, Day One put Barum in a small box with soft cloth. He needed to find Bora, the medical officer. She was smart and kind. Maybe she would help him. But first, he needed to feed Barum. The scan said the hatchling was hungry. Day One went to the food storage room and found some raw meat from the kitchen. He cut it into tiny pieces and brought it back to his lab. Barum smelled the food immediately. The little dragon jumped out of the box and ran to the plate. It ate quickly, making happy chirping sounds between bites. Day One watched and took notes. The dragon's teeth were sharp but small. Its claws were like tiny needles. When Barum finished eating, it burped. A small puff of smoke came out of its mouth. Day One laughed. So you can make fire already. Good to know. Barum looked up at him and chirped. Then it walked back to Day One and tried to climb up his leg. Day One picked it up and put it on his shoulder. The dragon curled around his neck like a scarf and went to sleep. Day One worked at his computer for an hour. He read everything he could find about Pyraxian drakes. Most of the information was about how dangerous they were, how they attacked without warning, how they couldn't be tamed or controlled. But none of that matched what Day One was seeing. Barum was gentle. It was smart. It showed emotions. When Day One touched its head, it made a sound like a cat purring. When he stopped, it pushed its head against his hand, asking for more. At noon, Day One heard a knock on his door. It was Bora. She was a short woman with glasses and always carried a medical bag. Taehyun told me you needed help with something important. He said I should come alone. Day One let her in and locked the door. Bora saw Barum on his shoulder immediately. Her eyes went wide. Is that a Pyraxian drake? Day One finished. I found it this morning. Bora came closer slowly. Barum woke up and looked at her. The dragon made a small growling sound but didn't attack. Can I touch it? Bora asked. Let me see. Day One took Barum off his shoulder and held it in his hands. He moved closer to Bora. Barum sniffed the air near her. Then, slowly, it reached out one small paw and touched her finger. Bora smiled. Hello there, little one. She looked at Day One. You know this is illegal, right? I know, but I need your help. I need to understand this creature. The reports say these dragons are aggressive and can't bond with humans. But look at it. It followed me all morning. It won't leave my side. Bora pulled out her medical scanner. Let me check its brain activity. She ran the scanner over Barum's head. The device beeped and showed information on its small screen. Bora's face changed as she read the data. What is it? Day One asked. This is incredible, Bora said. Look at these neural patterns. They are syncing with human emotional wavelengths. I've never seen anything like this in a wild creature. What does that mean? It means this dragon can feel what you feel. When you're happy, it knows. When you're worried, it knows. It's building an emotional connection with you. Bora looked up from the scanner. This changes everything we know about this species. Day One felt a mix of excitement and fear. So it's not just following me. It's bonding with me. Yes, and if my readings are correct, this bond is already very strong. Separating you two now would cause serious psychological damage to the hatchling, maybe even kill it. Those words hung in the air. Day One looked down at Barum. The little dragon was looking up at him with those glowing eyes. It chirped softly and nuzzled against his hand. I can't let them take it, Day One said quietly. I won't. Bora nodded. Then we need a plan. The council ship will come as soon as the system detects Barum. We need to prepare. They spent the next hour running more tests. Bora discovered that Barum's body temperature changed based on its emotions. When it was happy, it was warm. When it was scared, it got hot. When it was calm, it cooled down. They also learned that Barum was very smart. Day One taught it to come when he called its name. It only took 3 tries before the dragon understood. Bora tried calling it too, but Barum only looked at her. It would only come to Day One. It's completely imprinted on you, Bora said. You're its parent now. As the afternoon went on, Day One tried to work on his regular tasks, but Barum made it difficult. The dragon wanted to be close to him all the time. When Day One sat at his desk, Barum tried to sit on his keyboard. When Day One stood up, Barum followed his feet. Finally, Day One sat down to eat his lunch. He had a sandwich and some fruit. Barum climbed down from the desk and curled up on his feet. The dragon's warm body felt comfortable against his boots. Within minutes, Barum was asleep, breathing slowly and deeply. Day One looked down at the sleeping hatchling. In just a few hours, this creature had become important to him. He knew the next few days would be difficult. The council would come. There would be trouble. But looking at Barum sleeping peacefully on his feet, Day One made a decision. He would protect this little dragon, no matter what it cost him. They had chosen each other, and he wouldn't break that bond. Day one finished his lunch while Barum slept on his feet. The little dragon was snoring softly, making tiny puffs of smoke with each breath. Day one smiled at this, but his mind was troubled. He needed to learn more about these creatures and why the council banned them. He carefully moved his feet and picked up Barum. The hatchling woke up but stayed calm in his hands. Day one put it in the cloth-lined box on his desk and turned to his computer. He needed to find the old reports, the ones that told a real story. The basic files were easy to find. They said that 50 years ago, humans discovered a planet called Pyrax. It was rich in minerals that humans needed. Mining ships landed and started digging. Then the dragons attacked. Hundreds of humans died. The Galactic Council declared the dragons too dangerous and banned all contact. But Day One knew there was more to the story. He sent a message to Tai-Hyun asking for help. His friend was good with computers and knew how to find hidden files. 20 minutes later, Tai-Hyun came back to the lab. He was carrying a datapad. "I found something," he said, "but you're not going to like it." Day One took the datapad and started reading. The first file was a video report from a colony ship captain. The man looked tired and scared. "We started mining operations 3 weeks ago," the captain said in the video. "We didn't know the caves were dragon nests. By the time we realized, we had destroyed dozens of them. The dragons attacked to protect their eggs and young." The next file was worse. It was a military report. Human soldiers had hunted the adult dragons, killing them one by one. The report called it a necessary action for human safety. But Day One could see the truth. It was revenge. It was murder. "There's more," Tai-Hyun said quietly. He pointed to another file. This one was marked top secret. "I almost didn't find it." Day One opened the file. It was a research study from a scientist named Dr. Park. She had studied young dragons before the war. Her research showed that dragon hatchlings could bond with humans if raised from birth. They could learn commands. They could understand emotions. They were intelligent and loyal. But there was a note at the bottom of the report. It said that Dr. Park's research was classified and hidden. The Galactic Council decided that humans should never know dragons could be tamed. They were afraid humans would use dragons as weapons. They lied, Day One said. His voice was shaking. They knew dragons could live peacefully with humans. They hid the truth. "And now they kill any dragon they find," Tai-Hyun added. "They say it's for safety, but really they just don't want anyone to know what they did." Barum chirped from the box. Day One went to pick it up. The little dragon could tell he was upset. It nuzzled against his chest and made soft humming sounds, trying to comfort him. "We have to protect it," Day One said. "If the council finds out about Barum, they'll kill it just to keep their secret safe." Tai-Hyun nodded. "I checked the scanning system. The automatic report will go out tomorrow morning. We have less than 24 hours before a council ship gets the alert. After that, they'll be here in 2 days. Can you stop the report?" "I can delay it. Maybe, but not forever. And if they find out I tampered with the system, we'll both be in trouble." Day One thought hard. He needed a plan. He couldn't just hide Barum forever. The colony was small. People would notice. And even if he could hide the dragon, what kind of life would that be? The door opened and Bora came in. She looked worried. "We have a problem. Hannah wants to see you. Someone told her you found something in the biodome this morning." Hannah was a colony administrator. She was strict about following rules. If she knew about Barum, she would report it immediately. "What do I do?" Day One asked. "Go talk to her," Bora said. "Act normal. Don't mention the dragon. Maybe someone just saw you in the biodome and thought it was strange." Day One looked at Barum. He didn't want to leave it alone. The dragon seemed to understand. It chirped sadly and tried to climb up his shirt. "I'll stay with it," Tai-Hyun offered. "Go. The longer you wait, the more suspicious it looks." Day One gently pulled Barum off his shirt and handed it to Tai-Hyun. The dragon immediately started crying. It reached its small paws toward Day One, trying to get back to him. "I'll be back soon," Day One promised. He left quickly before he could change his mind. Hannah's office was on the top floor of the main building. Day One took the elevator up, his heart beating fast. He practiced what he would say. He found some plants. He checked the temperature systems. Nothing unusual. Hannah was sitting at her desk when he walked in. She was a tall woman with gray hair pulled back tightly. She didn't smile. "Sit down, Day One." He sat in the chair across from her desk. His hands were sweating. "One of the cleaning staff saw you this morning," Hannah said. "They said you were carrying something. Something alive. What was it?" Day One's mind raced. He couldn't tell her the truth, but he couldn't lie well either. "I found an injured creature in the biodome. I was bringing it to the medical lab." "What kind of creature?" "A small one, from the jungle section. I think it was a tree lizard." Hannah stared at him. Her eyes were sharp. "And where's this tree lizard now?" "Bora treated it and released it back into the jungle section." Hannah kept staring. Day One tried not to look away. Finally, she spoke. "The biodome sensors recorded unusual heat signatures this morning. In the volcano section. Do you know anything about that?" "The heating system might be malfunctioning," Day One said. "I can check it this afternoon." "Do that." Hannah turned to her computer. "You're dismissed." Day One stood up quickly and left. His legs felt weak as he walked to the elevator. That was too close. Hannah suspected something. He needed to be more careful. When he got back to his lab, he found Taehyun holding Barum. The dragon was still crying. As soon as it saw Day One, it jumped out of Taehyun's hands and ran to him. Day One picked it up and Barum immediately stopped crying. It pressed its small head against his chest. "It wouldn't stop crying the whole time you were gone," Taehyun said. "I tried everything. Food, water, toys. Nothing worked. It only wants you." Bora was there too. She looked serious. "I've been thinking about our options. We can't hide Barum forever, and we can't let the council kill it. There's only one thing we can do." "What?" Day One asked. "We fight," Bora said. "We tell everyone the truth about what the council did. We show them that dragons can be peaceful. We make them see that killing Barum would be wrong." "That's crazy," Taehyun said. "The council has all the power. We're just one small colony." "Maybe," Bora said, "but we have something they don't. We have proof that they lied. And we have Barum. When people see this little dragon, when they see how gentle it is, they'll know the truth." Day One looked down at Barum. The hatchling was looking up at him with trusting eyes. It had chosen him as its family. It depended on him for protection. "Okay," Day One said. "We'll fight, but we need help. We need other people in the colony to support us." "I know someone," Taehyun said. "Minute Seo, the security chief. She hates the council. Her family was affected by their policies. She might help us." "Then let's talk to her," Day One said. "We don't have much time." The three friends looked at each other. They knew what they were about to do was dangerous. They could lose their jobs. They could go to prison. But looking at Barum, they all knew it was worth the risk. 2 days passed quickly. Day One spent every moment with Barum, and the little dragon grew fast. It was now twice as big as before, about the size of a cat. Its wings were stronger, and it could glide short distances. The scales on its back had turned from silver to a beautiful mix of blue and gold colors. Taehyun had managed to delay the automatic report, but he said time was running out. The council ship was already on its way. They would arrive this afternoon. Minute Seo, the security chief, had agreed to help them. She was a strong woman with short black hair and a serious face. She brought 10 other security officers who believed in their cause. They all stood in the colony's main meeting hall, waiting. Day One held Barum in his arms. The dragon had learned to understand simple commands now. It would come when called. It would stay when told. It would even sit quietly when Day One needed it to. But it never went far from him. When Day One slept, Barum slept on his chest. When Day One worked, Barum stayed by his feet. "Are you ready for this?" Bora asked. She stood beside him, looking nervous. "I have to be," Day One said, "for Barum." The dragon chirped and nuzzled his hand. It could sense that something important was happening. At 2 in the afternoon, the colony's alarm beeped. A ship was approaching. Everyone in the meeting hall became quiet. They could hear the sound of the ship landing outside. Heavy footsteps walked through the corridors. The doors to the meeting hall opened. 5 figures walked in. The leader was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. This was Inspector Kian of Velnari. His species was known for following rules perfectly. Behind him were 4 guards of different alien species, all carrying weapons. Kian's eyes found Barum immediately. There it is. The illegal creature. Give it to me now. Day One held Barum closer. The dragon made a low growling sound. No, this dragon is not a creature. It has a name, Barum, and it's not dangerous. That is not for you to decide, Kian said. His voice was cold. The law is clear. All Pyraxian drakes must be disposed of for public safety. The law is based on lies, Day One said. He nodded to Taihun, who activated a large screen on the wall. The hidden files appeared, showing the truth about what happened 50 years ago. The video the captain played, explaining how humans had destroyed the dragon nest first. Kian watched the video. His expression did not change. When it ended, he spoke. I am aware of the historical events. That does not change the current law. But the law is wrong, Bora said, stepping forward. We have proof that dragons can bond with humans peacefully. We have medical scans showing that this hatchling has emotional intelligence and can form safe attachments. Show me, Kian said. Bora pulled out her medical scanner and displayed the data on the screen. She explained the neural patterns, the emotional bonding, and all the tests they had done. Kian studied the information carefully. One of Kian's guards, a human man, stepped closer to look at Barum. The dragon watched him but did not attack. The guard reached out his hand slowly. Barum sniffed it, then gently touched it with one paw. Sir, the guard said quietly, this creature does not act like the reports described. Silence, Kian ordered, but Day One saw something in the inspector's eyes. Doubt? Maybe. Or curiosity. Let me show you, Day One said. He put Barum down on the floor. The dragon looked up at him, waiting. Barum, come. The dragon walked to him immediately and sat at his feet. Barum, stay. Day One walked across the room. Barum stayed in place, even though it clearly wanted to follow. Its little body shook with the effort of obeying. Barum, come. The dragon ran to him happily, making cheerful chirping sounds. It jumped up and Day One caught it. The people in the room whispered among themselves. Even Kian's guards looked impressed. This proves nothing, Kian said, but his voice was less certain now. The law states that these creatures become dangerous as they mature. This one is still young. Then let us prove it, Minitseo said. She walked forward to stand beside Day One. Let us keep Barum here under observation. We will document everything. If the dragon shows any dangerous behavior, we will contact you immediately. That is not how the law works, Kian said. Then change the law, said a voice from the back. Everyone turned. It was Hannah, the colony administrator. She walked through the crowd to the front. I listened to everything said here today. I saw the hidden files. I watched this dragon obey commands and show intelligence. If we kill it just because of an old law based on lies, we are no better than those who destroyed the dragon nest 50 years ago. Kian was quiet for a long moment. His 4 arms crossed over his chest. I cannot ignore the law. I took an oath. I understand oaths, said the human guard. He stepped forward and removed his uniform badge. I took an oath too, to protect innocent lives. That dragon is innocent. I will not help kill it. He placed his badge on the floor and stood beside Day One. Kian stared at him in shock. You are disobeying a direct order, Kian said. Yes, sir. The guard looked at the other guards. We all heard the same training. We all learned that our job is to protect life, not destroy it. The other 3 guards looked at each other. Then, one by one, they also removed their badges and stepped away from Kian. The inspector stood alone now. He looked at his former guards, at the colony people, and finally at Barum. The little dragon was watching him with those glowing eyes, its head tilted to one side. This is highly irregular, Kian said quietly. Sometimes the right thing is irregular, Hannah said. Kian was silent for several minutes. Everyone waited. Barum chirped softly and climbed onto Day One's shoulder. The dragon seemed to understand that this moment was important. Finally, Kian spoke. I will make a report. I will state that the creature found on this colony is not a Pyraxian drake, but a related subspecies with different behavioral characteristics. This subspecies will be classified as safe for human contact, pending further study. Day one felt his heart jump. You mean? I mean the hatchling can stay. Under observation. You will send me monthly reports on its behavior and development. If it shows any signs of aggression, I must be notified immediately. Kian looked directly at Day one. This is not a pardon. This is a research opportunity. Do not make me regret this decision. I won't, Day one promised. Thank you. Kian picked up the badges his guards had dropped and handed them back. You are all still employed, though I will note this incident in your files. He turned to leave, then stopped. What you said was correct. Our job is to protect life. I had forgotten that. This dragon reminded me. After Kian and his guards left, the meeting hall exploded with noise. People cheered and clapped. Minutseo's officers celebrated. Bora hugged Day one, careful not to squish Barum. Tai-Hyun was grinning widely. I can't believe that worked. I really thought we were all going to prison. We're not safe yet, Day one said. We have to prove that Barum will stay peaceful as it grows. We have work to do. But even as he said it, he felt relief wash over him. Barum was safe. They had won this battle. The little dragon chirped happily and licked his cheek with its small forked tongue. Hannah approached them. I apologize for doubting you before. I should have trusted your judgment. It's okay, Day one said. You helped us when it mattered most. What will you do now? She asked. Day one looked at Barum. The dragon was already falling asleep on his shoulder, tired from all the excitement. Now we show the galaxy that humans and dragons can live together. We change everything. 6 months had passed since Inspector Kian left the colony. Life had changed in many ways. Day one's small lab was now a large research center dedicated to studying dragons. The colony had built a special building just for this work. Barum was no longer a tiny hatchling. The dragon was now the size of a large dog, with wings that could carry it through the air for several minutes. Its scales shimmered with colors that changed based on its mood. Blue when happy, gold when excited, red when protective, and soft purple when sleepy. But despite growing bigger and stronger, Barum had never shown aggression toward anyone. It played gently with the colony children. It helped Day one in the lab by carrying tools in its mouth. And every single day, no matter what else happened, Barum still curled up on Day one's feet when it was time to rest. Day one sat at his desk, writing another monthly report for Inspector Kian. Barum was lying across his feet, purring softly. The dragon's weight made his legs fall asleep sometimes, but Day one never complained. This was their special bond, the thing that made them family. Bora walked into the research center carrying a datapad. She looked excited. You need to see this. We just received a message from the Galactic Network. Day one took the datapad and read. His eyes grew wide. The message was from a scientist on another colony. She had seen their reports about Barum. She wanted to know if it was true that dragons could bond with humans. And she had important news. They had found another dragon nest on an abandoned planet. There were eggs, still alive. This is incredible, Day one said. Barum lifted its head, sensing his excitement. If we can save those eggs, we can prove that the entire species can live peacefully with humans. There's more, Bora said. She scrolled down on the datapad. 50 different colonies have contacted us. They all want to be part of a dragon bonding program. People from all over the galaxy are volunteering. Tai-Hyun entered the room, followed by Minuteseo. They had become regular members of the research team. Did you tell him about the council meeting? Tai-Hyun asked. What council meeting? Day one asked. Minuteseo smiled. It was rare to see her smile. The Galactic Council is holding a special session next month. They want to discuss changing the law about Pyraxian drakes. And they want you to speak. You and Barum. Day one felt nervous and excited at the same time. They want us to go to the council headquarters. Yes. Inspector Kian recommended it. He says your work here has been exceptional. Barum has proven that the old reports were wrong. Minuteseo sat down in a chair. This is your chance to change everything. Barum stood up and stretched its wings. The dragon had grown to understand human speech very well. It knew something important was being discussed. It walked to Day One's side and put its head on his lap, looking up at him with intelligent eyes. "What do you think, Barum?" Day One asked, scratching behind the dragon's ears. "Should we go talk to the council?" Barum chirped and nodded its head. Everyone in the room laughed. The dragon had learned many human gestures over the months. The next few weeks were busy. Day One prepared his presentation for the council. He gathered all his research, all the videos of Barum playing with children, all the data showing the dragon's intelligence and emotional capacity. Bo-Ra helped him practice his speech. Tai-Yun made sure all the technical equipment would work properly. Hannah arranged for a ship to take them to the council headquarters. She decided to come too, along with Minute-Seo, Bo-Ra, and Tai-Yun. "You need support," Hannah said. "We're all in this together." The journey took 5 days. Barum had never been on a spaceship before. At first, the dragon was nervous about the strange sounds and the feeling of movement. But Day One stayed close, and soon Barum was exploring every corner of the ship. The crew fell in love with the dragon. By the 3rd day, Barum had learned everyone's names and would bring them tools or snacks when asked. When they finally arrived at the council headquarters, Day One felt overwhelmed. The building was enormous, with towers that reached toward the sky. Thousands of different species walked through the halls, all working for the council. Inspector Kian met them at the entrance. "Welcome. I trust your journey was comfortable." "It was. Thank you," Day One said. Barum walked beside him, its claws clicking on the marble floor. Many aliens stopped to stare at the dragon. Some looked scared. Others looked curious. "The council session begins in 1 hour," Kian said. "I should warn you. Not everyone believes dragons can be peaceful. Some council members will argue strongly against changing the law." "We're ready," Day One said, though his stomach felt tight with nerves. The council chamber was a massive circular room with seats rising up in tiers. Hundreds of council members from dozens of species sat watching as Day One walked to the center. Barum stayed close to his side, its wings folded neatly against its body. An elderly alien with purple skin and many tentacles spoke first. This was Council Elder Vosh, the leader. "We are here to discuss the status of Pyraxian drakes. Day One of Earth Colony Velric 7. You claim these creatures can live peacefully with humans. Present your evidence." Day One took a deep breath and began. He showed the videos of Barum's development. He explained the emotional bonding process. He presented Bo-Ra's medical research showing how dragon neural patterns could sync with human emotions. Then he did something unexpected. He called Barum to him and asked the dragon to demonstrate its training. Barum performed perfectly, following every command with grace and intelligence. The dragon even flew in a circle around the chamber, careful not to bump into anyone or anything. But the most powerful moment came when a small child in the audience, the daughter of one of the council members, started crying. She was scared of something. Barum heard the crying and immediately flew to her. The dragon landed gently beside the girl and nuzzled her hand, making soft, comforting sounds. The child stopped crying and laughed, hugging Barum's neck. The entire council chamber was silent, watching this moment. Elder Vosh spoke again. "I have seen many things in my long life, but I have never seen a supposedly dangerous creature comfort a frightened child." He looked at the other council members. "We have made mistakes in the past. We let fear guide our decisions instead of truth. Today, we have a chance to correct that mistake." The council voted. It took 3 hours of debate, but finally the decision came. The law banning Pyraxian drakes would be changed. Dragons raised from eggs with human bonding could be kept legally. A new program would be established to rescue dragon eggs and match them with trained humans. Day One felt tears on his face. Barum flew back to him and landed on his shoulder, chirping happily. The dragon knew they had won. That night, back on their ship, everyone celebrated. But Day One was tired. He sat in his cabin with Barum. The dragon, as always, curled up on his feet. It had been a long journey from that morning in the biodome to this moment. "We did it, Barum," Day One whispered. "We changed everything." Barum purred and closed its eyes, completely trusting in content. 3 months later, the first dragon bonding program began. 20 eggs from the rescued nest were matched with 20 volunteers. Day one and his team trained each person on how to care for their hatchlings. The program was a success. Every dragon bonded perfectly with its human. The news spread across the galaxy. Other species asked if they could join the program too. Slowly, dragons went from being feared to being loved. Children grew up with dragon companions. Scientists made new discoveries about dragon intelligence every day. And through it all, Barham stayed by Day One's side. The dragon was now fully grown, as large as a horse, with wings that could carry 2 people. But no matter how big Barham became, every evening ended the same way. The dragon would find Day One, curl up on his feet, and fall asleep, because some bonds never change. Some homes are not buildings or planets. Sometimes home is just the feet of the person who loved you first, who protected you when the world said you were dangerous, who saw your true heart when everyone else saw only fear. Barham had chosen Day One's feet as home that first day, and that would never change. Not ever.